Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empower with Nancy. And I am so super excited to share with you a special guest that I have on my podcast today, and that is Paula Wright. Paula is an award winning spiritual wellness and transformation coach, helping you manifest abundance, freedom, and wellness of energy. And so Paula and I met, gosh, Paula, how long ago was it? It's been a year now, huh?
I believe so. Yeah.
It's been a year. So, and I am super grateful and very blessed to have her on my podcast. And what we're going to talk about is her experience of why she became a coach. And, a lot of my podcast episodes we talk about coming out of your comfort zone. And sometimes we have to really get pushed to do what we're so passionate about doing. Most of the time, we get into a situation where we lost our job or we just completely are feeling stuck in our job and we just say, enough's enough, or we get fired. It doesn't matter, laid off, whatever the situation is, it forces us at the right timing to do what we are very passionate about. So, welcome, Paula, to my podcast.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Nancy, for that warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I think we're living in a time where so many people are in transition and they're looking for more freedom and alignment in their lives. So I'm really happy to be able to share whatever insight I can on helping people in their journey.
Thank you. Thank you. And, today we're really going to talk about my podcasts are very natural, right? Just open conversations. And, we'll ask a couple of questions about from being frustrated to freedom, why becoming an entrepreneur changed everything for you. So, why did you become a coach and an entrepreneur?
So I actually quit my corporate job right before the pandemic hit. Let me start there. I like to say that I was at the forefront of the Great Resignation movement. Remember that during
Oh, yes.
around 2021, where about
Yes.
millions of people began to leave their jobs. I believe I was at the forefront of that, and I left my corporate job to follow my passions and my true calling. I moved from Arizona to Phoenix to Seattle, I'm sorry, which is my soul place, and just manifested this life that was everything that I dreamed and more. And since becoming an entrepreneur, I'm still consider myself a fairly new entrepreneur. It's only been about 3 years now, but my life has changed so dramatically, and I have the opportunity to become a contributing author with a book with Jack Canfield, who most people know as the Chicken Soup for the Soul author, and received the Editor's Choice Award for my contribution. I received the Spiritual Teacher of the Year award and Women's Voice Award from a women's empowerment organization, and just really have the impact to, or the ability to impact so many lives, most importantly. And so my life has changed so dramatically since becoming an entrepreneur and a coach, but it wasn't always this way, Nancy. I lived with
Right, right. And really quick, Paula, let's talk about that. I want to share with my audience the opportunity that led you to becoming a coach. And when you say Jack Canfield and then Lisa Nichols, and both
yeah.
Lisa Nichols and Jack Canfield were in The Secret. And I remember watching The Secret years and years and years and years ago. And following Lisa Nichols was absolutely amazing. And able to see you receive an award next to them is absolutely amazing and fulfilling, right? Like
Absolutely.
how did you feel? Like what was that experience like?
Nancy, this was just like so beyond my realm of anything that would ever happen in my life.
Mhm.
Jack Canfield and Lisa Nichols are two of the most phenomenal leaders in the world, and I never dreamed that I would be standing alongside them, that I'd have an
Mhm.
opportunity and to be an author with Jack and to be on Lisa Nichols' show and to receive an award for my contribution to the show. But these are two people that I feel so connected to. I feel like we're kindred souls. We think alike, and it's just been an incredible journey and opportunity. And I just feel so grateful for the opportunities that I've had to be connected and to mentor be mentored and align with them. Yeah, just incredible.
And that
Incredible.
kind of talks more about like bringing people in the circle of what you believe in, the people that bring positive energy to your life. Because sometimes when we're stuck in a situation where we just don't know how to exit this negative feeling, these limiting beliefs, self confidence, and we look at ourselves and we have all the tools on our toolbox. It's like, how do we get there? And then things happen for a reason. So energy, God source, manifestation.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about becoming an entrepreneur and helping people and making an impact in their lives. What kind of freedom does that make? How do you feel about that? What share some of the freedom that you have being your own entrepreneur, helping other people change their lives?
Oh my gosh, it feels amazing. It feels absolutely amazing to have, first of all, time freedom, which I've never had in my whole adulthood.
Right.
It feels wonderful to be able to wake up in the morning when I want to and to spend most of my time doing the things that I love and to
Mhm.
set my own schedule during the day. And it also feels amazing, Nancy, to be in a place where I'm actually doing the work that I was created for.
Mhm.
Because when you're doing what you love and what you're purposed to do, it doesn't feel like work. It
It
really doesn't
doesn't.
feel like work. And that's not to say that entrepreneurship isn't hard,
Correct.
solopreneurship, because I left a corporate job where I had a lot of staff support into entrepreneurship where I'm doing everything on my own. And so I invested in coaching in the beginning because I realized I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. And all great leaders have coaches, one of the best
Yes.
investments I've ever made.
Yes. Well
And
said. So
yeah,
true.
and so I learned, everything that I need to do. So this front end, it's been a lot of work. There's some days I may work, for 12 hours, and then I may
Mhm.
not work for another, couple of days. But
Right.
it's amazing to have the time freedom that I have now, and I realize that that's one of the things that I value most in my life. And when I left my corporate job, I was at a place I dealt with chronic stress, Nancy, and overwhelm and anxiety for a long time, and really a general dissatisfaction with life. I was a single mother. I dealt with work-life imbalance.
Mhm.
I was later the caregiver for both of my parents, and the turning point for me was when both of my parents got sick in 2019, and I had to step in as a
Mhm.
caregiver to them. And so I was juggling a demanding corporate job with the demands of caregiving. And it was absolutely overwhelming. It was the
Yes.
most intense period of stress in my life. And it just felt unbearable at times. And it was during this time that I decided to take leave from my job, family medical leave, to get my parents to Phoenix, where I lived. They lived in another city. My dad had been diagnosed with dementia, and my mother began having some serious neurological issues. And so I took 3 months off from work. And during that time, I really began to immerse myself in self care practices and walking outdoors every day and practicing yoga and taking lots of Epsom salt baths. And I felt led during this time. This is really, really key to my transition into coaching. I felt led to reach out to a friend of mine, an old colleague who I hadn't talked to in several months. The last time I talked to her, her teenage son, had been having a lot of struggles, drugs, and he had been suicidal at one point. And I called to see how he was doing. And she said, Paula, he's doing amazing. He has
Oh,
had just this miraculous turnaround. He's been working with this woman, and he's just doing so well in his life. And of course I said, well, who is this woman and what work what kind of work does she do? That's when I was introduced to the emotion code, body code work.
okay.
And yeah.
So I love it. So you notice how when most of us feel so stuck, because we've all gone there. Like you're a coach, I'm a coach. We've
Yeah,
fallen and we've gotten back up. We've fallen and gotten back up, and we get stuck. And
yeah,
even outside of, and to start my business, I hired a coach that was
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
And because you can't just do it on your own, but embodying it and loving and being compassionate about what you do makes a world of a difference.
Yeah,
So let's talk about how the body code can transform someone's life. What does that look
absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
like?
So yes, because it's revolutionary. It really is. And I'm so happy to share this. So the emotion code and body code methodologies are forms of energy healing.
Yes.
And they were actually developed by a chiropractor by the name of Dr. Bradley Nelson. And we know, first of all, God created science, and
Yes.
science discovers what God has already put into motion. And through the law of quantum physics, we know that energy is everything. And
Mhm.
we are pure source energy. And I know that you know this, Nancy, from some of the work that I think you share that you've done. But there's also an energy attached to all of our thoughts and our emotions.
Motions,
And
yes.
yes, yes. And so most of us are carrying, we're walking around with unresolved issues and trauma that we're not even aware of. And that the emotions connected to those things become trapped. And
Mhm.
so the emotion code is a process of releasing those trapped emotions.
Okay.
And it works instantly. I say that, there's really no need for talk therapy when you engage in this work. And I know some people may, have a preference for that. But I wanted some instant results, and you get instant results with this. And so
Mhm.
the body code actually takes it a step further, and it works to balance all of our body systems. And so when we come in alignment in our energy systems, then we're able to align with God's purpose for our lives. So
Mhm.
when I was off, work and preparing, knowing that my dad would be dying soon, and I'm dealing with all of these emotions and in transition, and not and I realized, by the way, that I didn't miss my corporate job at all. I didn't miss the commute at all. I didn't miss anything about it.
Right.
Yeah,
I re
but when
I remember those commutes. Those commutes would be like, back then, remember we used to have like those little CDs, the books on phonics where you put the actual CD in. I used to listen to Wayne Dyer and The Secret all the time, and
oh,
thinking, okay,
yes, yes.
I can't just sit in this car and just look at all these other cars. I'm gonna go crazy. But I do remember
Yeah,
those times. It's a little
yeah, so
definitely
I didn't
overwhelming.
miss. Right, right. So I didn't miss any of it, but as I began to do this work, I just began to get such clarity about my next steps and my directions for my life, and just felt a whole lightness just
Mhm.
in my body and my being that I hadn't experienced in a long time. And so energy is everything. And when we come into alignment, we're able to manifest our desires almost effortlessly. And so you
Agreed.
know,
Agree. But what about when you energy, emotions? What about attitude? Do you feel
yeah,
attitude is another, like, because the attitude, the energy, the communication, they all go hand in hand, right? So
absolutely.
if you have, if you have the energy, but you have this attitude,
Mhm.
this attitude could be positive or negative attitude
Yeah,
that can transform any kind of conversation. You're either going to have the conversation where you have the wall just comes up and you just shut down, or
yeah.
you engage in that conversation where you get so excited and you have something in common, and then once you get excited about it, then the energy just flows off of each other's bodies, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Nancy,
Love
and
it.
because that's what you're saying, because there's an energy attached to all of our thoughts, right? And our
Absolutely.
on our beliefs and our actions, and their high frequency emotions, and thoughts, and such as positivity,
Mhm.
and generosity and forgiveness, and all of those high frequency emotions, and like attracts like. So when you're in
That's
that
right.
state, you're going to attract positivity, and it's much easier to attract those, positive people and opportunities and things into your life. And in contrast, the low frequency emotions of fear and anger and unforgiveness, there's so many of them. They can block us, and they can block
Mhm.
us for an entire lifetime. And I realized that because I lived in those states, for a long time. And when
Mhm.
I did the work, I was able to really release a lot of those emotions. Yeah.
So you literally came out of your comfort zone from having a very well-paid job.
Yeah.
You know, you had that security blanket because knowing that you're going to get paid on the 1st or the 15th, whatever the pay period is, you knew that you were
Yeah.
going to have a consistent pay.
Yeah.
And when you are an entrepreneur, now you're your own boss. Do you worry about how you're going to get the next paycheck, or do you literally bring the positive energy flowing through your mind, heart, and soul, and knowing exactly that you're not even worrying about how you're going to
Mhm.
get the next client? Because why? You're doing the work of embodiment,
That's
right?
right.
The
That's right.
energy,
That's
the
right.
the blessings from God, the just literally saying, I am not worried about how if I'm going to be successful in my business because I know I am. I'm not going to worry about how am I going to get that next client because all the clients are there
That's
and
right.
my energy
That's right.
attracts those
That's right.
clients.
That's right.
So can you talk a little bit about how that works with you within your environment, within your taking coming out of that comfort zone into your own entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Well, I think you just said it so beautifully, Nancy. But yes, so, yeah, so it was. First of all, it was scary
Hmm.
leaving the security of my corporate job. Even though I was so ready to go and I felt like I was being called in this new area, I had security, I had all of that. It's scary. That's human to do that. But there was there was a calling that was greater than my fear. And
Hmm.
what is so important for me, and I think for everyone else to know that it's really important to pay attention to our inner guidance, because
Yes.
that inner guidance will guide us into all truth. And we
Hmm.
have been so conditioned to believe that the only way that we can make a decision is through the logical mind. And the logical mind was telling me, okay, and some of my coworkers as well, are you crazy? Are you sure you want to do this? Everything in me was saying absolutely. And
Hmm.
my intuition and my inner guidance is my gift. That's my strength. I'm not big on logic anyways. And so I was just, it was just so clear as to how I was being guided. And to your question about ever fearing about my needs being met, and earning money, I do not have a fear about that at all anymore, because
I
I
love it.
know my needs will always be met. I know that we live in an abundant universe and there is
Hmm.
more than enough for everybody,
That's right.
of everything: money,
Hmm.
resources, love. And I now know how to tap into it. And
Hmm.
Nancy, what I learned through this process of doing this inner work and the emotion code, body code, is that we have been taught
Yes.
to believe that life is hard
Yeah.
and it's always going to be a struggle. We've been conditioned to believe this, and
Mhm,
programmed to believe this, but it was never meant to be this way.
mhm.
Life was meant to be, us about us living in grace and with ease. And that's not to say that we're not ever going to go through anything in life, because
Right.
it's just
Well, that's
life.
what makes us that's what makes us stronger though, right? So these
Exactly.
these challenges are
Exactly.
opportunities to keep pushing forward. Because you are right, Paula. We were all brought up differently, but we're all wired to be work hard, save
Mhm.
for a rainy day,
Yeah.
just do what you're told,
Yeah.
don't speak up. And sometimes we tend to always we believe in something that we truly believe in, whatever the situation is. And sometimes you believe it inside internally, but you have to get what? Validation from everyone. And by the
Yeah.
time you get validation, hear all these different perspectives from other individuals, you just lost it,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And the greatest power that we have is within us.
Us.
The kingdom of God is within us, and
Mhm.
that spirit will guide us into all truth. And you mentioned something and just made me, think about during my corporate career and in parenting, single parenting, I I did everything. I thought I was doing everything the right way.
Mhm.
I gave everything to my family, my employer, the community. I was doing everything that my faith taught me to do, but I certainly wasn't getting back to the extent that I was putting out, Nancy. And it
Mhm.
was it was killing me, with stress. It
Mhm.
was killing me. And I just wanted so much more in my life. I wanted the freedom that I have now. I wanted to, live my passions and to travel. And I wanted more than 2 weeks vacation each year.
At each year, exactly. Did you ever feel that you had to, when you work so hard for your family, work-life balance, and your employer, and you work all these crazy hours, and did you ever felt you just forgot who you were?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because I'd given everything to everyone else. There was absolutely, and I hear that so much with so many women and
Yes.
losing themselves in the
Mhm.
process of giving to everyone else, and even so many who don't even know who they really are because they've never had the opportunity to explore that. They've
Right.
been giving from the beginning, right from school to the marriage to parenthood, and have never had the opportunity to really explore, to do that self-exploration and discover. And
And
I
loving
yeah,
themselves, right? And that
and
because
loving themselves.
you tend to just forget about you, and then you don't even know that you are doing it because it's every day, it's a vicious cycle every day. And, in my program, I teach about it's a morning routine. It's really morning habits. It's a daily habit. We don't focus on us and what is our daily habit. Instead of getting up in the morning
Yeah,
and you're rushing off, hurry up and get ready, rushing to hurry up and get your kids to school, going to work, and then you're rushing home to make dinner, and then you go to bed and you wake up and do the same thing over and over and over. So
over
what
and
is that?
over
It
again.
it doesn't give you the clear putting it out in the universe, the clear
Absolutely.
the clear guidance of what does Nancy want? What does Paula
Right,
want? What do
right.
you want? Like The Secret
Yeah.
says, ask and you shall receive.
Yes, yes.
Just believe.
Believe, believe. And
Mhm.
your daily habits and your point is so important, Nancy. And that was my lifestyle forever, just being in survival mode and just this, constant just going, going, going. And since quitting my corporate job, and stepping into entrepreneurship, I have a new morning routine because our routine sets the tone for our entire
Precedence
day. And
for your
I
day,
used to,
100%.
yeah, absolutely. And the first thing that I would do usually when I got up in the morning is pick up my phone and, check my emails, check text messages, read the headlines,
Yes.
the news. And,
Mhm.
what am I doing? I'm starting my day with all of the first of all, technology, but, all of this negativity, and I don't do that
Mhm.
anymore. And so I start my morning in silence. I get up and I meditate. I do 5-minute meditation every morning,
Yes.
which can have profound impacts on our well-being, by the way. Just 5 minutes.
Yes. 5 minutes.
I
Mhm.
5 minutes, yeah, I walk outdoors, I'm surrounded by incredible nature, my day is not the same unless I'm able to walk outdoors in the morning. I read, from a meditation book every morning, I talk to the Holy Spirit every morning, I ask for
Mhm.
guidance, I listen
Mhm.
to music. I have to start my morning quietly and in peace and not with technology anymore, and it really has transformed things for me. It really, really has.
You nailed it, Paula, because these phones, it is, you know, putting your phone away 2 hours before you go to bed, not laying in bed going through TikTok, Instagram, comparing yourself to someone else's lives, wishing that you
Yeah.
had that life.
Yeah.
And the technology is give yourself I was just talking to at a session today with my client, and she went on vacation, and she's like, "Nancy, I took your advice and said, you know what? I'm turning off all no computer, I'm turning off my phone." And she felt very
Yeah.
energized. And I was telling her, I said, I was thinking about doing this challenge, for my audience, and just putting it out there is, how about you turn off your phone 2 days in a week? Like, don't focus on text messages or what have you. So just cleanse, do a social media cleanse, because it literally is an energy that flows through your mind, heart, and soul, your entire body. It's
Yes,
rejuvenating. It
absolutely.
and if we could just do that, if most people can just do that, I think they can come out of their feeling stuck and the
Yeah.
anxiety and the worry. What is tomorrow
Yes,
gonna bring? What is tomorrow gonna bring? Then to be grateful for everything that you have. And like you mentioned,
absolutely.
setting the precedence of doing your meditation, doing your morning quick little routine. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be an hour long, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it could be 15, 20 minutes. Make it simple for you, for anybody, because if
Yeah.
you don't do that in the morning, and now that you do this, the days you wake up and you don't do it, Paula, how do you feel?
Oh, I feel stressed. I
Mhm,
feel rushed. My thinking is scattered, and it doesn't feel good. It just my days
mm-mm,
just don't flow. They don't flow
mhm,
as they do when I start my day in peace. And so, yeah, so my peace and my time freedom are two of the things that I value the most. And so I have learned, and I just, this is just it's my time, and I this is a priority for me in the way that I start
mhm.
my day. And so mindfulness, you made me think about mindfulness as you're talking about this, and it really, it's we're talking about being present
That's right.
and living in the moment. That's what we're talking about, Nancy.
You're
And
right. Mhm,
yeah. And it's so important and it's so life changing. And, even multitasking, I had to retrain myself to stop multitasking, monotask,
yeah.
focus, focus on
Yes,
one thing at a
at a
time,
time.
at a
It
time. And that's
yes.
just changed things dramatically for me as well. Yeah, it's about living in the present moment. We have experienced, all of us, so much during the past 7, 8 years with, and with COVID and everything that's going on in the world, all the loss and all the trauma. And where there's got to be a shift for people. We weren't meant to live this way. I'm convinced that, all of this stuff that's happening in the world is coming up for a reason,
Mhm.
because it's time for us to do the work to heal and to step
It
into a new way of living.
yes. I feel
Yeah.
it's coming
Yeah.
in to get rid of all the negative, the bad, and starting new again. It's a cleanse.
Yeah.
It's a
It
cleanse
is.
for
It
us
absolutely
all. It's
is.
a learning experience. And you're either going to be part of it or you're not, but you get to
That's right.
choose. So
It's a choice.
it's a
That's right.
choice. It's definitely a choice. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, Paul, is how does coaching unlock new levels of success for you on a personal level and within your business?
Yeah, so it has unlocked huge levels of success for me on a personal level, because I'm now aligned with leaders that I never imagined that I would be. And I've learned so much from them. And they have helped open the door for so many other opportunities for me. Now I have the freedom to really create and to do what I want to do and to
Love to
say
do.
what I want to
Mhm.
say and to help people in
Yes.
the way that I'm
Mhm.
supposed to. I'm not confined to anyone's rules except my own. And so I can
Yes.
do what God has called me to do. And so it's just tremendous. I mean, it's just the freedom has just been tremendous. And the greatest thing for me is being able to impact lives, Nancy, in the way that I'm able to. You know, in a corporate, my job, I was successful in what I did, but I wasn't really impacting people in the way that I wanted to, and the way that I knew that I could. And the potential through entrepreneurship is just unlimited. You can reach people throughout the world in ways that are really, transformative. You're
Mhm.
transforming lives, and you know that you're having an impact. Yeah,
It's
I
magical,
love
it's
it.
beautiful, it's magical, and but you had to invest in yourself to make this happen,
Yeah.
and when you invest in yourself, you knew that you had to get another coach because you didn't
Mhm.
feel that you were on your own island doing this on your own. Is getting the coach
Right.
to help you get to where, like, what does that funnel look like for you? Why do you want to do what you're doing? And literally help you and walk you through that process. Then to wake up one morning and say, I'm becoming an entrepreneur and I don't need any help. You can't do it on your own. It
Oh,
and
absolutely
with
not.
with me, it's if I before I started my business, I formed my name, I hired someone refer me to a coach. She coached me for 6 months. Then I started to read more. I started my podcast. I brought a lot of beautiful people, guests on my podcast that you learn from. And we've all gone through some challenges on entrepreneurship where you may have hired certain people that weren't just the right ones for you, but you learn from them. You don't say,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I wasted my money. They weren't the right ones. But that's part of growing your business because you're never going to make
yeah,
all the 100% correct decisions within your business. But the beauty of it
absolutely.
is you as the owner and entrepreneur get to make that decision.
That's right.
No one
That's
makes that
exactly right.
decision for you.
That's
So
exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and I think for me, stepping into entrepreneurship, first of all, I realized that I didn't know anything about it, and so I had to invest in coaching. And I wanted to find coaches that were going to put me on the fast track. I didn't want to spend a
yeah,
whole lot of time learning. I wanted successful people telling me exactly what I needed to do, And you're like you're very successful, in your
thank
business
you.
career. And every good leader has a coach. I remember reading at one
Yes.
point that Michael Jordan had like 7 coaches at one time, and
Mhm.
it's the best investment that I have ever made. I've learned from the best. They put me on the fast track, and as I said, I have just what I've manifested during the past 3 years, I just I attributed so much to what I've learned from my mentors and my coaches. And one of the other things that I learned, and I'll always invest in coaching, by the way, Nancy.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I learned is that I can't, even in entrepreneurship, I can't do it all myself. I have to have a
No.
team. I do have a team. I'm blessed with great people to support me, but I also have to learn to let go and to
You
trust.
Yes. That is it is hard because when you're starting a new baby, you're just, it's like planting that seed. You put the soil in and then you watch that plant, the flower, bloom. You're going to totally keep an eye on it, right? And then you're going to water it, but you're going to do it all on your own. It is hard sometimes to let go because I know for me, I'm not the best marketer. I'll
Mhm.
do my videos, but I need someone to help create those for me. I can't do it all on my own.
Right,
Sometimes I'll have
right.
great ideas and I bring it to my team. Hey guys, what do you think? Or did you like this solo podcast? It is okay to bounce in off to your team and hire teams that are an extension of you
Yeah,
and you don't always have the answers. I don't always
that's
have
right.
the answers as a coach.
That's
I'm
right.
constantly evolving and learning as well. That's what makes you yourself and your business stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And
Absolutely,
you learn
absolutely.
from your
And I think
mistakes and it's okay.
you grow, and that's life, That's the way that it should be. And for me, working in the spirituality and wellness space, I also emphasize that God is the one that called me to do this work, and God has 1,000% trust in me if he called me to do this work, right? And
a hundred percent.
I have to remember 100%. Yeah, has 100% trust in me. And I have to always I have to remind myself that I'm being supported,
Mhm,
in this realm that I and can't even see, that's beyond the natural realm. I'm always
mhm.
being supported in what I do. And if I need help, then all I have to do is ask for it.
That's
Ask for
right.
help. Ask for help. Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So my last question, let's talk a little bit about breaking through burnout, and really recovering passion into your work life. What were some of the early signs of burnout that you feel that people overlook?
Some of the early signs of burnout that people overlook.
Like if
Um,
you're let's say for you, let's talk about you when you're in corporate America. And you knew every single day you were working super hard, but it wasn't your passion. And all those hours you worked, you didn't focus on you. Then it tend to just you burned out yourself. Where you didn't
yeah,
focus on you and you were just focusing on helping others on a
yes,
consistent and everyday basis.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it just came up to surface where you said, enough's enough. I am so burnt out
yeah.
of doing the same thing over and over and over again with no purpose behind it.
Right,
It's a job. And
yeah,
or you were so beaten up because maybe some wonderful suggestions or ideas that you had in leadership and the upper management, CEOs or what have you, they kept pushing you down and down and down and down, but you just kept moving forward and forward,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
you just were not empowered and fulfilled. So
Mm.
that what creeps up into us mentally, physically, emotionally is burnout, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you said that so beautifully. And for me, Nancy, I recognized that I was just in survival mode. I was just going through the motions all the time. And I didn't really have a life. I was in this routine every single day. And the weekends, I was too exhausted to do anything because I'd given everything to everyone else. And I
Yes.
also think that we reach a point where we just simply outgrow where we're at.
Mhm.
You're talking about presenting ideas to leadership. I reached that point where, I asked, why am I working for this person?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
understand what I'm
No, I
saying?
do is in a lot of times with my clients, when I'm working with businesses, leadership, I work with the owners, CEOs, and business strategy and leadership. And you see the consistency across every organization of burnout and
Yeah,
feeling not empowered, not
yeah,
feeling fulfilled. And they're working so hard and they don't are not recognized. And it's all about the almighty dollar. Most organizations, they struggle with collaboration.
yes, yes,
Why
yes,
can't the employees are the ones that are running the company? They're the
yes,
meat and the potatoes of the recipe. We got to make sure that those meat and potatoes are fresh and that they're loved and they're nurtured. And so what we struggle in is executives and leadership feel completely burned out and beaten up
yeah,
because it's an
yes, yes.
ongoing thing over and over and over and over again. And it breaks my heart because no one needs to go through that.
That's
And that's why
right.
I want to
That's right.
say to my audience and the people that are listening today, if you are struggling in an organization of feeling burnt out and frustrated, not feeling empowered or fulfilled, or not having the confidence that you know that you are worth, then you need to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And
Yes.
figure out what you feel most passionate about, and don't
That's exactly.
feel that you're stuck. You have control over the wheel. You are in the driver's seat at all times. You don't have to constantly be in that passenger seat, and you can make a difference. That's what I did. That's what Paula did, right? That's what most
That's
entrepreneurs
exactly
have
right,
done.
Nancy.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was so beautiful and perfectly said. And through this, what we
Thank
haven't
you.
talked about is that through this process, I have created a methodology called the Live Free process. And based on
Share.
my own life, and what
Mhm.
Live Free process, and it basically is five steps on what I've been through, what I've learned from others that to help people really do just that. And number one, as you said, is to really take some time to focus on what's missing, what your passions are. What do you really, really feel passionate about? Because your passions are connected to your purpose. And when you're living your
Yes.
purpose, you are going to live your greatest life. That's what you're going to be the happiest doing. And so really take
Mhm.
some time to do some self-exploration to discover what you're truly passionate about. And some people may say, I have never even had the opportunity. I have no clue. Make it a priority to begin to explore and to
Mhm.
do things that bring you joy. Do more of the
Mm.
things that make you happy. The second thing, Nancy, is it's so important to do the work to heal our emotional wounds and our trauma. And we have all
Yes.
had it. We've all had it. And
Mhm.
we about releasing that and the limiting beliefs, by the way, as well. And that could be in the form of I have to work a 9 to 5 job in order to live. That's not true.
Mhm. No, you
You
do
know,
not.
you do not.
Mhm.
I don't have to you don't have to work for another corporation, or, it may be that people feeling they're not good enough, or that, life is hard, and
It doesn't
those are
have to be.
all limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
It does not have to be hard. It was not meant to be that way. And so you have to shift your beliefs on that subconscious level for things to change in your life. So really doing the work to release the limiting beliefs, and we all, I mean, they could come from our childhood, the way that we
Right.
were brought up. They, go way, way back. But
It does.
doing limiting beliefs, releasing the emotional wounds and trauma, healing our energy is critically important. And I believe that you cannot reach your destiny without healing your energy. That is my belief, and that's based on what I've been through.
That is
Um,
beautiful, beautiful said, because don't when you don't go deep dive within yourself and believe and do the things that you want to do, that you are passionate about doing. And this is not all about you have to become an entrepreneur. If you do not like where you're at in an organization, and when you wake up in the morning, you're not feeling empowered and fulfilled, make the change that
yeah,
fills your glass up.
yeah,
So if you're
yeah,
going to go work for somebody, it is okay, but do something that you enjoy doing and don't worry about what other people think. And you don't have to get validation. The validation comes from you and only you,
yes.
right?
Absolutely, Nancy. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And
You know,
I wanna add
beautiful.
that it's so important. I
Mhm.
believe that it's important for people to really grow spiritually during the times that we're living in too. And I
Agreed.
don't mean religion, but I mean, and I'm an ordained Christian minister as well, by the way, but I mean having a direct and personal spiritual relationship with Christ, because God is real. His spirit is alive within all of us, and he has given us so much power, and he wants us to feel his spirit and to be guided by that spirit, and that's the inner guidance that I was talking about.
That's
And
where the
we
energy
have
comes from.
that's where the
Ener
energy, and so we really,
energy
really have
didn't
to.
come before him. It
Right,
became God and then the energy. It's just
right,
he's like,
right.
Here's all your tools. I'm giving you everything."
I love it. The tool, Nancy, oh my gosh, I love that. Here's all these tools that I've given you.
Mhm.
And that is, my faith really did not teach me how to put my faith into action. And my faith
Right.
didn't teach me that energy was everything, and that I was constantly attracting and repelling people and opportunities and experiences based on my energetic frequency. And it
Mhm.
didn't teach me that when I came into alignment, that manifesting my desires would become almost effortless. And so the tools that you're talking about are the tools that God wants us to use to put our faith into action.
Yes.
That's what he calls us to do. And that's when
Mhm.
transformation occurs. Yeah, all of these tools. I love that. I
You
love
know,
that.
Paul, this is so beautiful, and again, I'm so just very grateful to be able to get to know you. And audience, I never met Paula in person. I did the work and was following you and reached out to you. Let's have a discussion. And we did. We had a discussion. We had this energy. We had this connection. And I'm like, I would love for you to be a guest on my podcast and share the energy, share the experience, and educate my audience. And, it doesn't matter. We're both coaches. You're a different coach. I'm a different coach, but we're doing the same thing, but you get different
Yeah.
perspectives. That's what I'd love to have different guests on my podcast to share the knowledge as much as possible. And then bringing these people into my circle that means a lot to me and in my business. So I'm so very grateful to have you on my podcast again here. I know I said very grateful, but I truly am. Can you tell my audience where they can follow you and briefly talk about the course that you're going to be releasing? Master the Law of Manifestation?
It's actually Master the Law of Attraction. My first
Attraction.
online course that I'll be releasing. Yeah, I'll be releasing next month. Groundbreaking course, which aligns the law of attraction with Christ consciousness. And Christ consciousness is exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about um, growing spiritually and having
Mm-hmm.
that personal relationship and being transformed. It's more than just about believing in God, but really being transformed in our minds and our thoughts, our actions, and our hearts. And so it's groundbreaking. It's teaching people what the facts about the law of attraction, the 8 conditions that really need to be in alignment for you to manifest. And as I said, when you come into alignment, manifesting your desires become almost effortless. And this is the way that God intended it to be. So I'm really
Yes.
excited about the course. And even for people who are not Christians or followers of Christ, the principles are universal. So they can benefit everyone. So again, I'm really excited. And people can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Instagram, it's Paula Wright Official. And I also want to encourage your listeners to visit my website and download some free resources. I've got some great free resources on overcoming the 5 common blocks to manifestation and raising your vibration and tapping into Christ conscious living, which I'm really, really, excited about. So, and I want to thank you, Nancy. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for meeting you. I believe our connection was a divine connection, and I'm so thankful for you having me on your show. It's been a real privilege.
Thank you so much, Paula. And that ends our episode today. Thank you so, so much.